Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm going to gavel us in. I know Commissioner Chesney is right around the corner, but all of us are on a time crunch this morning. And so welcome, and I would ask that you please rise for invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America and to our Texas flags. There he is. And thank you. Commissioner Modis, would you lead us in invocation this morning?
Dear God, we thank you for today and for the blessing of just having another day of life. We pray today, Lord, that we may do the will of the people of Nueces County and work to advocate and fight for them. Dear God, we pray that you guide us to find the purpose and the direction that you have planned for this community. We pray that you bless this court and its members and its staff and this community with your grace, your mercy, and your love always. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you so much. This morning, it's May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, 2021, and we are at the Nueces County Courthouse at 901 Leopard, Corpus Christi, Texas, on the third floor in Commissioner's Courtroom, and I do certify that all commissioners for the clerk are here, and so therefore a quorum has been established. We do not have a safety briefing, but I would just alert everybody that all safety protocols are always in place. We have deputies at our doors. We have an AED located in the foyer. Please never use the elevator in case of an emergency, and muster at the parking lot across the street. Person will be calling 911 will be Connie, and Belinda as that backup. And the time for the clerk is 9:06 a.m. 9:06 a.m. We do have an important agenda here, but I would ask if there are any public comment, even though it's not posted, and there are two. And so I would ask Deputy to bring forward those members of public comment. And could I ask, did they sign a sheet? If not, sir, would you just identify yourself? Welcome. Come on in and take the microphone. And give me just a second to announce you, but you're going to repeat your name and the address and your address for the clerk, and then we would ask that you give your public comment. And then I'll just remind that during public comment, we won't be able to answer you back, but I promise you we are listening intensely.
I understand, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Garcia.
Oh, Chris, my name is Chris Garcia, 701 North Hackberry, Bishop, Texas.
Welcome.
Thank you. Judge, commissioners, I appreciate the time, the opportunity to be here for public comment. The items I'm going to be talking about are not on today's agenda, but they have been on previous agendas, and my best hopes are that they can be revisited in the future. I would want to first off say I forgot my mask this morning, and Mr. Garcia downstairs Officer Garcia downstairs doing security was kind enough to get me a mask. Number one, last July, the Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute released results of their assessment, mental health, county mental health assessment. It was a great idea. I heard during that meeting in July. I think it was a great idea to have those results posted on the Nueces County website. I may just be missing them, but I have yet to find them there. I'm hoping that they do get posted. Also, this past January, Nueces County MHID, Mental Health and Intellectual Disabilities, posted a press release outlining mental health services, improved mental health services that would be available to the county. Me being from Bishop, I'm inquiring as to to the extent that those services extend to Bishop, particularly the crisis intervention teams and the MCOT. It's I forget what it stands for again. Mobile Crisis Outreach Teams. So my inquiry is, how active are they in Bishop? We're a smaller community, but we do have people that experience psychotic episodes, okay? And my concern is for them, making sure that they get some of these services. Lastly, I understand there's a Colonia Self-Help Center to be established, or maybe has been established. If it has been established, where is that location going to be? And if it hasn't been, what criteria is being taken into consideration for that location? I understand that you may not be able to answer these today, but in the future, I'd be greatly appreciated if these items are addressed again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Mr. Daniel Bettis. Actually, it's not Mr. Chief, come on in.
I've answered to much better and much worse. Good morning, Commissioners
morning.
and County Judge. Thank you for allowing me to speak here publicly. Monday, we found out that the City of Corpus Christi Police Department was not hosting a Police Week ceremony in honor of fallen officers. And so the sheriff asked we put one together on the fly. Police Week is May 9th through the 14th, and so we did not meet the deadline for putting the item on the agenda for a resolution and proclamation, but under the guidance of Tyner and Belinda, they have asked for me to come here publicly, ask for possibly getting a resolution and later a proclamation after the fact. So we're planning on a brief ceremony on May the 14th. It's a Friday. We haven't hammered down a time yet, but I'm thinking it's probably about 10 o'clock is what time that we've typically held the ceremony. And so we're inviting all our community partners and law enforcement and, of course, the court and other people to attend. So,
Thank you.
on a side note, again, thank you very much for your support in my reclassification. That reaffirms my position, and I think it lays down the foundation for what the sheriff has in store for our agency moving forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. At this time, that concludes public comment, but I will always look online. I don't see any public comment, but if there is anybody, if you want to raise your hand at this time, that would be appropriate. Okay, seeing none, we're going to proceed into the regular agenda items, and we have three, and they are all related. And that is item number 1 is discuss and consider the approval of an order authorizing the issuance and sale of Nueces County, Texas, combination tax and limited pledge revenue certificate of obligation, Series 2021, levying a tax and providing for the security and payment thereof, and enacting other provisions relating thereto. Here with us is Noe Hinojosa, our financial advisor from Estrada Hinojosa, who comes all the way from Dallas, Texas. Really appreciate you making the trip. I know that we could have done this by Zoom, but I thought today was important, and I just want to say thank you for being here in person to share and also to answer questions. But we're going to pass these out, and then you're going to take over. We had a big day yesterday. Will you take us through it? There's 3 items. Let me just prep the court, Noe, that after that item, we're going to be going into the authorization of the execution delivery of a bond purchase agreement and the escrow agreement, asking the court to consider approving the official statement. And so it's sort of a relatable items 1, 2, and 3, all focusing on the pricing that was done yesterday. Final pricing came in yesterday.
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes.
We're supposed to do a resolution or something today?
So, I was going to ask Belinda,
I was handed one and.
I was handed one as well. I was just gonna do this first and then ask Belinda, but I'm with you. I was handed two, actually, not just one. Belinda, okay, my bad. What happened, Commissioner, is that I'm looking at this agenda and I have a brand new one updated. Go ahead, we'll do it at the end, okay? If you don't mind. Taking it out of order for Noe. Thank you. Thank you. We have minutes as well, and
You know, Judge, good morning.
good morning.
I don't have a flash drive, and I don't know if the public, I don't know how to get this done over to the public. I just brought this book. Is that gonna be enough, or?
Well, I tell you what, why don't you walk us through it verbally?
Yeah.
And then Connie, I will ask Connie to load this, the summary sheet.
Yeah,
I'll-
later.
Later?
Yeah.
While I'm working with the resolutions, and we can publish it. I'll give you my book if you'd like.
No, I have my book. Everybody has a book.
No, for Connie.
Oh, for Connie,
Okay,
yeah.
Jenny, thank you so much. Connie, please, just make note of the ones we're utilizing. There we go, Teresa. And get them scanned into Connie. Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Hi, Noe Hinojosa with the Stride Hinojosa and Company, and it's good to see you all this morning. Pretty day out there. Basically, this is a follow-up to a mandate you gave us back in February, on about February 24th, for that matter. And the first page after the cover, page 2, basically shows you where we are today. That's what we gave you last week, or at the last meeting on the 24th of February. And basically what this encompasses, what this resolutions or orders that you're going to be approving a little later after this presentation, is encompassing the issuance of $50 million, or the issuance of bonds to fund $50 million in projects, and 2 refinancings that were literally done for savings and restructuring some of your current debt, so that the impact on tax rate will be de minimis, if anything at all. Page 3 basically shows you what we call a progression of where we thought interest rates were back in February and what we thought we were going to get to today. So fortunately for all of us, interest rates really haven't done much in terms of either going up or down. So back in February, on February 24th, you'll see on page 3 a row that says TIC. That TIC is a true interest cost, and the rate at that time that we presented to you was 2.44. On Monday, we went out and priced these bonds, or actually solicited ideas from underwriters, and they gave us this interest rate of 2.16. The credit on Nueces County was retained at a AA by S&P and AA by Moody's, and it was very well received. I'll touch on that in a minute. But basically, by getting that rate, by having a strong market from Monday to today, we were able to lock in a rate of 2.10%. So if you look at the total interest cost for borrowing the $50 million, back in February, we assumed that it would cost you $23.6 million to borrow the $50 million, and it actually dropped to about 22.5. Literally, the difference between Monday and Tuesday, which was yesterday, was a reduction in rates for about $140,000 over the life. So in essence, that's what the new money financing is doing for you. And I'll tell you in a minute how it's going to impact your debt portfolio. On page 4, these are the Harbor Bridge bonds that you borrowed back in 2016. And I think the rates on those bonds were at about 4%, 4.25%. Dale, you may want to remind my memory there, but basically the same thing. If you go to the third row on their TIC, the rate we got for those bonds was at 2.08%. So by swapping the rates of 4% to 2.08%, the county had a net present value savings, which is the second to the last row, of $1.4 million. We told you back in February that we thought the savings could be $1.133 million. So we were able to exceed that, and that was in good fortune. If you go over to page 5, I'm sorry, those are other bonds that you could refinance for savings. And those bonds were financed at a lower rate of 0.90%. We did not extend the original maturities. We didn't do anything funny with that other than bringing your savings to the front of the maturity schedule so that you could optimize your ability to not only borrow but not impact tax rate. If you go to page 6, on page 6, I call this the ugly sheet because there's a lot of numbers there, but basically the 5th column from left to right, you're going to find some numbers in parentheses. Those numbers in parentheses are basically the reduction of payments that the county is going to enjoy by virtue of doing those refinancings. And in essence, you'll see that the $22 million refinancing went out to 2026, and the Harbor Bridge bond was scheduled to go out to 2041. That's the difference in rate. That's why you get a 0.90% rate on the $22 million loan. It's so much shorter than the other loan. So then when you borrow the $50 million, it's on that blue column. And that loan goes out from 2021 to 2041. That's a 20-year loan. So the reason why those rates are higher, again, is because you're going out longer with those loans. At the end of the day, the 3rd column from right to left, you'll see the interest rate for 2021 was 0.44752. If you do nothing, if in terms of borrowing 2 years from now, and if property values increase at the 3.5% that we projected, the tax rate should be the same. If not, we have a savings account, a small savings account in the INS fund that we have projected to draw upon if necessary to keep the tax rate the same. So then when you go to page 7, you basically see the new graph, and you see this little yellow line. That yellow line is your tax levy. That's a projected tax levy based on our expectations of property values increasing at 3.5% for the next 3 years, and the tax rate remaining the same.
Judge, can I just ask, is there a way, this is really important stuff, is there a way we could get this uploaded to put on?
They're working on it right now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Teresa took it to scan right now.
So that we can, have it to where people.
Yeah,
can go
no,
back and work.
we're doing it right
Awesome.
now.
Thank you.
Apologize for that, Commissioner. So anyway, so that's the objective of, I guess that was what was given to us, an objective, and we like to think that we got there.
I think the balloons should go on right now. You know how they like release balloons and confetti? It's very unusual to beat your pre-finance. Okay, I can get that your expected was a good ballpark, but you literally beat the pre-pricing.
I think Noe does that on purpose, Judge. He just, he likes to come in here and
He
beat
wish he
himself.
could.
Yeah.
He wish he could.
I'll say,
It was.
I've had the benefit of working for you for many years.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that if I ever wrong, I know you're not shy about hitting
No.
us on the head real
No,
quick.
look, I mean, sometimes the market does you a favor, but it was also good timing,
Yeah.
and you were very honest with me. Last October, November, you had a plan for us, timing-wise. That took a lot of courage and a lot of understanding of the market, period. And the timing was perfect. And that is why that's a huge, a win in our column on page 3 to be at,
Well, I'll say this,
where we
Judge,
are.
and members of the court, I can't thank Dell and his office, Aide. They've done a superb job of providing us with numbers literally right when we asked for them. Tyner and Belinda and you, Judge, we had rating meetings on the succeeding pages. You'll find a cover of the official statement or preliminary official statement that went out on the street. We had this company called UBS, and Frost Bank and UMB that basically help us secure these rates. We negotiated with them. We started the process in my office in Dallas. We have a trading desk, and we have several people that basically counter the proposals from UBS and their partners on the deal, and that's how we secure those rates. So working in tandem with them, I can tell you, this is all a team effort. I just happen to be the fellow that comes before you, and I'll tell you, when I started this business, I used to be 6 feet tall, and I've been hit on the head enough that now I'm shorter than that. So forgive me for that. But then, if you go after that cover page, you'll see the ratings from Moody's and Standard & Poor's, and where you basically are given an evaluation as a credit. The first one is Moody's, and basically, the two credit strengths that they mentioned on the cover page is that you have a large tax base that is well above peers and continues to expand. So they're very hopeful that Nueces County will continue to expand its economy. I think we did a pretty good job of explaining all the developments going on in the county, demographics, both economic and social. So they're pretty well impressed. And they do an independent research of whatever we tell them. In fact, a lot of times, a lot of stuff that we tell them, they know a lot more than we do. Then the second strength that they see is that you have average debt and manageable fixed costs. So they're not too concerned about your costs. I think that you can pat yourself on the back, because that's something that you are elected to do, and that is to keep a pretty good eye on how expenses are incurred here in this county. And the way they see you, they see you as a very manageable credit. Credit challenges, what they see negative for you, is that you have a moderate concentration in the petrochemical industry. So basically, what works in your favor, they see it as a negative too, and that you're concentrated in that sector of industry. And then the second item is having to be below average resident income indices. So they're recognizing that you're that basically the median population is getting a little poorer than the norm when compared to other places in Texas. But I think Texas continues to stride. I mean, I think, yeah. Thank you.
There we are, we're up.
Yeah.
For the viewing audience, the presentation that has been verbally articulated to us by Mr. Hinojosa is now up for your review, and what we'll do is ask Connie to slowly go through all the pages. Just leave them on for,
If you go to page 7, Connie, that'd be good.
Page 7?
Yeah.
Hey, Noe, could you go back to page 3 when you get a
Yes,
chance?
please.
Page 3, Connie, forgive me. Commissioner Chesney wants
Unless you had
page
more
3.
presentation, I was just trying to wait till you got through. I'm sorry if
No,
did I
no,
interrupt you? I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no,
Okay.
no.
On the, can you go through this for me again and explain this the final pricing column? Just kind of explain that, because
Sure.
that number at the bottom is different than what I just need to understand that a little bit better.
So basically, on the first row is your dated date. Today being, yesterday was the final pricing, May 4th. Today, these bonds have not been sold. You have the ultimate authority to approve this bond sale. If you, for example, reject that today, this sale today, then I have to go call on the underwriter and say, you know what, we have no deal. The court was not comfortable with it, we're not gonna do it. Everybody's acted in good faith. Our recommendation to you today is for you to approve the order. If we were not to approve it, you have to have some real reason. So anyway, yesterday was May 4th, we priced it. The par amount of the bonds is $41,155,000.
And
Why is it that we're
right.
gonna get $50 million with $41,155?
That's what I wanted you to explain.
Excellent question. The bonds are sold at a premium. In order for you to get a rate of 2.1%, you gotta incentivize the investor bonds and giving them a higher coupon rate. The coupon rate is a borrowing rate. So you're borrowing 41, and you're gonna, if you were the investor, and I'm saying, hey, Commish, I want you to buy these bonds. I'm willing to sell you $4 million, so you can give me 5, and I'll pay you 5% on that $4 million. So you actually pay me a premium on those bonds. And you see where here, if you go down the column, there is a row called less premium, 9,329,000. In essence, they're paying you 9,329,000 more in order to get from the 41 to the 50. But you're gonna borrow this, you're gonna borrow at 4 or 5% in the back of the loan. You got some coupons at 4 and 3%. When we run all these numbers, which I don't run them personally, I have people that do that for us, it ends up being a net interest rate of 2.1%.
Which is what that 13 million represents, is if we take this bond out or the CO out over the length and we don't pay it back early, then that's what we would pay total on that 50 million.
That's right.
We get 50 million and we pay 13.1
Over
for-
the life, over the 20
over the
years.
life.
Yes.
Unless we pay it back early or something of that nature.
That is correct.
So this is the number that and that's why I kind of want to go back over it so that the, person that's watching this
Excellent.
will
Yeah.
say exactly, look, we're borrowing 50, it cost us when you borrow, there's interest on top of it.
Yeah.
We don't want to be anything other than transparent and show everybody what we're doing.
Yeah.
But then the obligation, then the opportunity exists that, as this court has done in the past, if we want to pay back bonds early to avoid that interest, or refinance, or do whatever we want to do to elongate it, then we can reduce that number if we have the opportunity to do that. But if we don't, then that's the number that we're going to spend to borrow this 50.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that $13 million is a value over the 20 years. So
Right.
when you present value the dollar on the 20th year to today, it's much lower than 13 million. And that's how you get to that 2% interest rate too.
And the other thing to note here is that, again, when we, in February, guesstimated what our plan of finance, what that rate would cost this county, it was at 2.44%.
Yeah.
And now we're at 2.1%, and that 0.3 differential results in quite a bit of savings.
Almost 3 million in interest savings.
Right, which is just important to note.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the reason why those savings are reflected that way, or that many savings, is because that's a bigger loan. The smaller loans got you lesser savings, but we still exceeded.
But still,
we still
1.3 million, I think, on the Harbor Bridge.
But when you get 1.4 in the Harbor Bridge.
sorry, 1.4.
And 1.5, literally $600 short of 1.5. So together, those refinancing saved you almost another $3 million.
And
Right.
again, my famous question is, Noe, this also continues to make us able to not raise the INS tax rate coming into this current budget cycle.
That is correct, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
And in
So-
fact, we're going to have an opportunity to provide the security and payment thereof, which is really to reinforce that very statement.
That is correct.
Thank you, Judge, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
And then on page 7 is, I think, what the public may want to see is that,
Go to page 7.
Yeah.
One more. There we go.
so basically, unfortunately, the colors on the screen may not do justice because they're black and white, but there's a little bar over the gray bar. And that little bar is kind of like white, but that's the new money. That's the COs that we're selling today, and that's how that's structured. So literally, between now and the year 27, you'll see that, or 25 actually, the line that is above it, that little yellow line, is right beneath the total debt service, and that's what your debt service will look like for the next 4 years. What we're hoping, as I've said to you before, is that as you go about borrowing money, if in fact you borrow money in another couple of years, is that there will be other opportunities to refinance or restructure debt in the future. So there's about $25 million that you may be able to do.
Right, future calls,
Yeah.
the 2025 calls is what I think
Yeah.
they
And-
are.
And at that time, what you need to have working for you, if you want to consider fortunes being good fortunes, is for interest rates to remain the same, property values to continue to grow.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then you should be able to have some capacity then. So that's what we've done here.
Yeah, because we've been super conservative outside the 3 years. So we've said 3.5% growth for 3 years, and then we've gone steady.
Yeah,
And it's that really provides a conservative profile for us that I'm very excited about, knowing what we're seeing in the housing market and in property valuations and the like. So very,
Now-
very intriguing.
if you go over to the Standard and Poor's report, which is behind the rating, the Moody's rating that I talked about earlier, and on the S&P rating report, and by the way, both Moody's and S&P are totally independent from us, independent from you. They basically grade you based on how you look compared to others. Go to page 4 of that S&P report. And basically there, they'll tell you what the downside scenario will be. Connie, that's in the very back, but,
Oh, in the back?
yeah, almost in the very back. Keep on going. That should
It's on
be
Moody's,
coming
there's
right there.
S&P.
Okay, so if you go to page 4 there, of that report. And basically, the downside scenario is we could lower the rating if the county's budgetary performance weakens, leading to decrease in reserves or if its economic metrics deteriorate. I think, if you recall, this is the rating agency that kind of gave us a wake-up call in that our reserves had dropped significantly, and then
In 2018,
yeah, and then now they recognized on performances that this court has been responsible for of improving those reserves. And because of that, they see you as a stronger credit, or for that matter, someone who's entitled to preserve that. They do expect you to continue to improve those reserves. So every year that you make a little effort of tying up the belt, they recognize that effort. But they also recognize, and I know that this may not be too popular of a comment with some of my bosses here, is that they recognize that the tax rate that you do it with is one of the lowest in the state.
know.
So
Okay.
basically, that's even more commendable, that with lower means, you're able to perform the way you perform. The upside scenario is, although unlikely, we could raise the rating if the county's economic indicators improve to levels that we consider comparable with those of higher-rated peers, and the county formalizes additional management practices or policies and practices. And the additional management, I think, practices is just, I'm assuming, because I didn't get into the details of that with the analysts, is the way you go about adopting budget, the way you hold budget reports. I don't know how often you are presented by staff on year-to-date numbers, but that's something that a lot of other counties do use, and that's just a matter of visiting at a later date on that. But that's basically it, and I'll stop and entertain any questions you may have.
Yes, I have a question. I love data, Noe, and I appreciate all the work that you've done.
Yes, sir.
Showing us all those charts and going back again, and so the public can have a chance to look at that information online. Perfect spot. Couldn't have asked Connie to stop at a better page. Trying to quickly take in a lot of this information. I know this is not you, but it impacts you and it impacts us. Moody's, with our credit challenges, says we're below average resident income.
Yes, sir.
And moderate income based on, because we're very focused on petrochemical. That goes to some of what many of us think or have talked about before as a community, that we need to diversify. We know that we're trying to do that, but I think gives us even more ammunition to pursue that diversity. I think that Moody's, Standard & Poor's, all the agencies are probably looking for. The lower overall economic income is obviously a concern as well. And I like that on the S&P, it does kind of break away Corpus Christi, because that was going to be one of my questions, is how do they fare compared to us? Since we have to take in more of the communities that may not, they're smaller and they don't have the diversity that the big city has. And that overall look can bring us down as a county. right? This is more commentary than really question, but I think that this gives us, a lot of information to really pursue. We know that the NCDC is trying to do a lot of work for the county, to advocate for the county as a whole and to try to bring in some of that diversity. And so I think, this is excellent information from them. Concern that anyone would call our county economy weak, but that's what they have said through S&P. And so, once again, I think, when we look at policies, when we look at decisions, when we look at votes that we make, at least this body, that, we have control over a lot of that, not all of it, but a lot of that. And so I think that we need to consider how these ratings are giving us more positive, right? So I guess the next time we come back, we're gonna probably see a big boost, hopefully, in our ratings. The way we were rated last time, I think we had dropped or had
Yeah.
improved. So, I do like that there was a lot of, points in there, especially, on S&P, how we are, rated overall as a county, that we have, adequate management, we have strong budgetary performance, and very strong budgetary flexibility, and I like that, because we really truly control that here on this court. And so I think that's important. You want us to succeed. I mean, how else can you help us when you go out to do all of this work on the bonds? So,
Yeah.
I just, in talking out loud, I hope that, we remind ourselves that as we look to the budget coming up, that we need to remain in these strong to very strong indicators, so that we can, when we look for future bonds, right? We want to be conservative on our bonds. We want to do COs and keep them very capped. But really, the only way we can do that is if we're strong in our budget and make good policy decisions. So, I'm going to digest this more and probably reach out to you later just for more information, but, excellent presentation. Thank you.
I guess if anything, Commissioner, I think you don't fail to recognize the fact that you're a AA credit.
Yeah.
The highest credit rating is AAA. Then after that is a AA plus or AA1, and then AA. So when you look at, I think in the past I've given you the top 25 counties in the state of Texas. I think Nueces County has got like the 6th lowest tax rate among all the counties.
Say that again, it's the 6th lowest
I know.
tax
I think
rate.
Sixth or eighth, and that's commendable. I mean, for someone who has such a big mandate to run a countywide, commendable, you can
Right,
keep
well,
it that way.
considering all the social problems we have.
But the flexibility part of it is that they see you can go up to 80 cents. That's the max if you wanted to take it that way. Good luck doing that, though. But
Right.
my point is that that's a flexible position, and they recognize that. So the fact that you have tightened your belt, that you can work with that belt being as tight as it is, that's commendable. But they also, and I came from Dallas, and I represent the city of Dallas, and I'll tell you that when you're a AA credit, you're expected to behave like a AA credit. You're expected to not only keep your management practices in order, but also make improvements for quality of life, to make sure that roads are paved, to make sure that facilities that the county is under control, county jails, courtrooms and stuff are in good order. Dallas used to be a AAA city. Today it's not, because it sacrificed the quality of life at some point. And I guess the rating agencies are very absolute. They just like you and I, love to read data, and then they start comparing you with your peers. Fund balances are key to anything we do in life. You're a coastal credit, a credit that is exposed to hurricanes. Well, you suspect that you're expected to have a higher fund balance. Back in February, if you go back to my presentation in February, I put together then a top 25 comparable sheet, and in there's a column that says fund balances. You just look at that fund balance of yours versus others, and then they look at trends. They look at how did you behave the last 5 years or 10 years versus today. Are you growing in revenues or expenses? Are you going out of whack on expenses? So we look at all that stuff. And frankly, when I come to you, and I'll tell you that this is one of the few courts where I feel like I need to take my time and kind of dispelling all this numbers slowly, because you've always held us to a pretty high standard of making sure that we do the right thing. So I'll tell you, I appreciate the opportunity to be of service to you all. I didn't do this by myself again. It's a team effort. There's about 6 people in my company that do this with me. So here we are. Commissioner Gonzalez, anything?
No, you always, as usual, do a good job, outstanding job. You know, and as far as I can remember, you've always helped us to really stay on the AA side. You know, and I think there was one time we didn't, we're borderline, we were kind of a little trouble, but we took care of it. And then I think, if I'm wrong, I think one time we were at AAA, you know, maybe 1 year, and we had to come back down to a AA for whatever reason that was. But unless I'm mistaken, I don't know what.
You may have been a AA plus.
Yeah, we've never been a
Yeah,
triple.
yeah, maybe AA plus. And I know we had to come down because of whatever reasons, and I guess because of expenses and everything else. But I just want to thank you and your staff and, you know, your team, you know, HOSA, for always keeping us on top where we need to be, you know, and being honest with us when we ask you questions, and, you know, and always let us know you can or you can't do it, you know. So I just thank you for everything you all do, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioners, we do have some agenda items that need to be tackled in regards to everything that was being said. And I think that when we do State of the County next month, we'll definitely highlight this for the public again. We could even bring it back as another agenda item to do just a quick executive summary. I recognize that this is not our normal Wednesday, and so I'm happy to spread good news every chance we get. Noe would tell you that there were many political jurisdictions that were downgraded during these very difficult times. Not only, to echo Commissioner Modis, did we get the best report. It reminds me of the analogy of that cooking show where they give these chefs like 3 weird ingredients. And they say, go and produce something magnificent. It needs to look beautiful, it needs to taste beautiful, and everybody's got to like it. And that's kind of county government. You get so few ingredients. They want you to keep taxes low. They want to cap you. They want to give you all the unfunded mandates. And they want you to do it well. And it's got to taste good. And what this report says from the rating agencies is you're a good chef. Because do not discount the fact that Nueces County's economy is weak for the reasons they say it. And yet this court was able to do it in an incredible fashion. This isn't just a testament to good decision-making. It is our victory. And I really do believe that this needs to be claimed as such, because this is not easy. And I mean, despite everybody kind of throwing things, you know, whether it's a global pandemic or a hurricane or a winter storm or just revenue caps and more issues that are social, we have been able to make the right decisions. And as they say, this is evidence of it. But make no mistake, we need to keep encouraging the economic development that you're talking about and the diversity, and look for Nueces County to lead the way. I predict that, and I think that after next week, you'll understand why I say that. Noe, let us work through it. Jenny, there's a lot of, it's not like you can just say motion for number 1. Help me go through it. There's a lot of decisions.
Noe, excuse me. I
Yes.
just want to tell you, thank you myself, and I do believe that sometimes we do need to tighten our belts. So, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, the first decision to make on item A1, Commissioners, is a motion to consider levying a tax and providing the security, forgive me, let me back up. Consider the approval of an order authorizing the issuance and sale of Nueces County, Texas Combination Tax and Limited Pledge Revenues Certificates of Obligation, Series 2021. Do I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
And all those in
I
favor?
have a discussion before.
All right, a discussion?
And this is, we're voting now to do the 50 million, right?
That's correct. It's just as he has presented, the pricing as he's presented.
Right. Yeah. I have one, I still continue to have this one question that I know
Okay?
hasn't been answered, and maybe the county attorney can I don't know, give his opinion on this, but I'm still, I know a while back they were told that you can't borrow money on something that doesn't belong to you, or land that doesn't belong to you. I just want to make sure that we're doing this thing right, that we're borrowing money on the medical examiner, which is an area that doesn't belong to us, yet, you know, it could be, right? I mean, down the road, I don't know. My opinion is, how do we do this? Do we borrow the money with the assumption that we're gonna get that land given to us? Or get that land, maybe the hospital district is gonna work with us on that, and if it doesn't happen, because I know Spawn has the agreement till 2030, and if it doesn't happen, those $4 million, we have to come back and say, you know, we're
Well,
gonna disperse
yes.
those $4 million to.
Commissioner, yes, all these projects still have to come to court. So all it is it's an affirmation that these are the projects,
Just to accept the money.
just to accept
Okay,
it.
I'm-
And then we'll bring it back and at that appropriate time, as long as it's included in the capital improvement plan, it's okay.
Okay, well, I'm not.
Yes,
Never mind. I'll bring it back. Thank you very much.
absolutely. Any other discussion?
I mean,
Okay, I've got the second, I don't recall from whom, but Commissioner Modis, perhaps, no, Commissioner Chesney. Commissioner Modis was the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. The next piece of this is levying the tax and providing the security and payment thereof and enacting any other provisions relating thereto. At this point, Dale, are you asking us to solidify that the correct INS to support that, and then we would read that INS rate?
Basically, all it's saying is you're giving the authority for us to make sure we have a tax levy on this. So the actual levy will not be determined until we have the actual valuations from the appraisal district, as well as calculating the no new revenue tax, as well as the voter approved tax at that point in time, based on the values we have to put in from Senate Bill 2, based on our collection percentages, their valuation of our tax rate. But as Noe is saying, to maintain the proper value of the tax rate without increasing or decreasing, there may be a possibility of having to use a fund balance. So that's the only thing we're asking for.
Got it.
But at this point, Dale, you're verifying what Noe said, which is the INS tax rate won't have to go up this year to cover this, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And we could read it out if you wanted to, but it's just the
It's on
same
the
as
record.
today.
Yeah, I'm good. I'll make the motion.
And I'll second. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same time. Sign. Okay, and now we'll move to item number 2, which is to consider the order authorizing the issuance and sale of Nueces County limited tax refunding bonds. This is the
number 3.
refunding, 2020.
That's number 3, Judge. You said 2. I think we already had 2 already.
No, we haven't done the refunding. There's 2 series of refundings. One's 2021A and the next one's 2021B. Okay, so we're going to go to the refunding bonds on 2021A. So is there a motion to approve the order to issue those refunding bonds for 2021A? And so moved, okay. And a second? And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Post same sign. Okay, and then, again, I probably could have done it in one, but I'm going to keep it very clean, and that's the next part, is the levying the tax payment and payment thereof. So this would also go right along with what Dale just said for these particular payments. Is there a motion to levy the appropriate tax and payment thereof? And I'll second. And any discussion? And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then I'll need a motion to authorize the execution, delivery of the bond purchase agreement and the escrow agreement, and approve the official statement. This is the ministerial piece of it that we do in office, in my office. It's important to close the deal, so to speak. These are all of the documents that are required under law and have been approved and reviewed by our bond counsel. Okay, and the second?
Second.
And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Post same sign. This is the exact same one, but it's a different series. This is Series 2021B. Need a motion authorizing the issuance and sale of the tax refunding bonds on 2021B. And I'll second. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. And then the levying of the tax and payment thereof of those payments. I'll need a motion. And I'll second. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. And then again, a motion authorizing the execution, delivery of the bond purchase agreement and the escrow agreement, along with approving the official statement. Thank you. And I'll second from Gonzalez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, that is the items that Noe Hinojosa had. Now I'm going to pull the regular agenda. There's a couple of items that we need to deal with, and give me a second to get that right paper, but they're minutes for starters. Let's accept the minutes, item number E1. Is there a motion? There are many minutes, 4 series, April 19th, April 20th, April 26th, and April 28th. You've had a chance to review those minutes in your packet. Is there a motion to approve such minutes for those dates? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. There are 2 resolutions that are here. One is the support of SB 1767 relating the terms of appointed members of boards and commissions in certain counties. This is ministerial. We already voted on it, but we need to get a resolution to Senator Hinojosa's office if it is to be referred. And so 1767, thank you. And second?
Second.
And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. The next one is important bill, Senate Bill 1827, that has a companion 4284. It has literally been worked over and worked on for the last 48 hours, very strong, and here to kind of explain where we are is Belinda. We really do appreciate our entire legislative team who's been working with the authors and the sponsors of the bill. One of the co-sponsors is Ryan Guillen from South Texas, and we want to thank Representative Guillen for working with us. We just want to make sure that we can honor the contracts that we already have agreed to with our opioid settlement with the Attorney General's office. And so it's it's an important bill. Belinda, will you share with the court where we are and what this resolution will do? Excuse me while I get water.
Certainly. And so today what I have to present to you is just a resolution in opposition of SB 1827. House Bill 4284 was actually left in committee last night. And so the reason we only want to act on SB 1827 right now is because as the way the Senate passed it, they added amendments that actually are contrary to the Texas term sheet, which is, I believe, which y'all reviewed last month regarding the opioid settlement and approved in support of that Texas term sheet. And so right now they have not made those amendments to HB 4284. So that's why it's not going to be included in this resolution. But ultimately, the amendments that were made to SB 1827 include that any settlement could be made, and that would basically preempt the lawsuit that the county and the hospital district currently have, as well as the Texas term sheet provided that there's an opioid council that would see how the damages, not the damages, but the monies that were recovered could be applied. And right now, it does provide for city and county appointees. With the amendments, they would all be appointed by the state. And so I'll read the resolution if it's okay with y'all.
Please proceed.
It says, whereas according to the Center for Disease Control, opioids were involved in 49,860 overdose deaths in 2019, accounting for over 70% of all drug overdose deaths. And whereas a result of this public health crisis, Nueces County and the Nueces County Hospital District filed lawsuits seeking financial damages from opioid manufacturers and distributors. And whereas Nueces County supports the written agreement between Texas cities and counties and the state of Texas, the Texas term sheet entered into on May 13th, 2020 regarding statewide opioid settlements. And whereas SB 1827 does not reflect the terms of the Texas term sheet, and whereas SB 1827 will likely preempt any state court claims and could impair federal court claims, and whereas SB 1827 removes city and county appointees from the opioid council, now therefore be it resolved that the Commissioners Court of Nueces County does hereby express its opposition to Senate Bill 1827 as passed by the Texas Senate or any other similar legislation that does not comply with the terms of the Texas term sheet.
Thank you. And again, I would tell you that our opioid litigators that represent Nueces were instrumental in helping us craft the language that was needed. I know that Hugo spoke with the Attorney General's office as early as this morning. Everybody is really working together. We want to see this bill in its form that will protect Texas County's ability to continue to make good decisions regarding this opioid litigation. So, are there any questions for Belinda?
Just, Judge, just a comment. I submitted some written testimony on this yesterday, just on behalf of myself. And I think it's important to note on this that, and what I said in my testimony was basically, you know, in Texas, normally what we do is a deal's a deal. And when you negotiate in good faith with the Attorney General of the state of Texas, to the chagrin of many who did, you know, none of us walked away loving what we negotiated with the Attorney General, but that's life, and that's the world that Judge and I are used to living in. You walk away from a good mediation, and if neither one of you gets exactly what you want, then the mediation's been successful. So the damaging part of this legislation, which was of concern to me and was what I articulated, was, you know, we made this deal in good faith with the Attorney General. Nobody really loved it, but we made the deal. We shook hands. We signed a contract. Didn't just shake hands. We signed a contract, and we moved on. So in the hopes here for our community to understand and know is that this legislation is important for Nueces County to have some control. I also articulated in the testimony that, you know, oftentimes many of those legislatures talk about not wanting to take away local control. This is exactly what this does. And if these amendments were to pass, it would be damaging to the ability of Nueces County to be able to negotiate these settlements and have a say on the effect that it's going to have on its citizens. It would basically allow Texas to keep all the money and decide on how to distribute that. And we all know how that goes sometimes, and not always to the favor of the counties that they serve. So I do think this is important legislation. I do think it's important to oppose this Senate bill, these Senate bill amendments. It'd be interesting to know where the Attorney General has fallen on this, because I know that they can't technically lobby the legislature because they're elected officials. But, you know, they are also, I would hope that they would have represented, you know, that, hey, look, we did make this deal and we did have this contract. And quite frankly, I think potentially what they're trying to do is maybe unconstitutional, to be able to wipe away a cause of action that has already been recognized, filed, worked on, moved forward with. It's pretty, you know, it's definitely something we want to keep our eye on, and I appreciate you reporting on it, Belinda. I know, Judge, you've been involved in it, so thank you. And
Yeah.
it's definitely something.
No, we appreciate that letter, you know.
And I don't know if it does any good.
It does,
but
it does, of
certainly
course
it's-
it does. Thank you.
And I thought I was going to be able to appear by Zoom. Unfortunately, they told me at the last minute I couldn't. So I just, but I do think it's important, and I hope we'll continue to monitor that, and hopefully that'll get worked out. I did hear some favorable comments were made at the hearing yesterday, and our folks felt sort of decent about it.
I think they did. I
So,
mean,
you know,
look, you know, I think somebody said it earlier, you know, bills are easier to be killed than to live, and they go, some things that look dead come alive, and some things that were alive look gone. I think we're doing what we need to do. We've been working with our legislative team, our legislative delegation. Everybody's been working overtime on this one and about 3 others that we'll talk about next week, hopefully when they're in our rearview mirror. But this one was the one we needed to bring to you today. And please be kind of on notice that because things happen very fast in the legislature, we need to be able to react. So if we call a special meeting just to do a resolution, please know that it's not because we're trying to, you know, mess up everybody's schedule. Is that it's needed. We're having to react quickly as a county, monitoring over 100 bills. that affect counties is a very difficult job, and they are all monumental. This is a great example of why you need a legislative team on point every single day working in this legislature. I would appreciate any questions at this time so that we can move on. Commissioner Modis and I think, have another appointment to keep. Okay, hearing none, Belinda, let me call for this motion. Can I have a motion in opposition to SB 1827 at this
So-
time?
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Okay, at this time, I see no executive session items to be discussed. Unfortunately, we do have an adjournment in memory, and I have it here with me. Does anybody else have one? Commissioner Hernandez? I'll start with you, and then Commissioner Modis. Please go ahead.
Yes, I just want to announce the passing of Enrique Dovelina. He was a citizen from Corpus Christi, went to Roy Miller High School. He was also the national director of LULAC. He passed away in Houston, Texas. He was an attorney.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Modis?
Yes, I have two. Emilio Sines, he was born in Robstown, lived in Corpus Christi for the latter part of his life, and graduated from Banquete. And all three of those areas were happened to be Precinct 3, but my family knew him. I knew him my entire life, and so he passed last week. And so my thoughts and prayers with his family. And my mom lost her oldest brother last week, and so we had just, he lost his oldest son to COVID, and I mentioned that back in September of last year. So, of course, just my thoughts and prayers for my family, my cousins, my aunt. He passed and lived in Houston, and so we'll be going to that in a couple of weeks, but those are the two I have.
Our
Thank
prayers
you.
and prayers and condolences to your family, Commissioner.
Absolutely. Commissioner Gonzalez?
No, no,
Commissioner Chesney?
Ju-
Excuse me, Commissioner Modis, the clerk, could you repeat the name?
Oh, yeah, I didn't say. Johnny Tunches, is Tunches. Yes.
Commissioner Chesney?
Judge, just, I have one, and I hope I'm not stealing the one you have, but wanted to mention the great loss to this community to Coach Hector Salinas. The obituary is so long because he did so many things for this community. Referred to, famously his coach, was a part of the Del Mar Board of Regents, CCISD. He coached at Moody. He coached at A&M Corpus Christi. He just, I don't even know where to start on all the wonderful things that Coach Salinas did in this community. He left quite a legacy with his children and grandchildren who were also very involved in the sporting community and in this community and others. And so certainly I wanted to make sure and recognize Coach Salinas in the passing, and our condolences to his father. He was quite the figure in Nueces County. I just don't know anybody that I ever talked to really that didn't know Coach, and we certainly mourn his passing.
Absolutely. We're sending all our love and prayers to Orly, to everybody, the whole Salinas family. And I want you to know, because he was a public servant of Nueces County, serving at Del Mar Board of Regents, we will be accompanying, there will be a member of our Nueces County Sheriff's Office is involved in the escort of Coach Salinas to his final resting place. And it's also with great sadness that I inform you that Cristina Cadena Camacho's brother, Victor Roel Cadena, who was only 54 years old, passed away on Saturday, April 24th, 2021. And he died of COVID-19. And I want to remind you that Chris asked me specifically to remind everybody that COVID-19 is far from being over. And I have his obituary here. I'd like to read it in full. Victor Roel Cadena, age 54, passed away Saturday, April 24th, 2021. He was born December 8th, 1966, in Corpus Christi, Texas, to Roel and Rose Cadena. In life, Victor embodied the terms Christian, husband, father, son, brother, uncle, and friend. He took these roles very seriously, and he committed his heart to being the absolute best he could at each. He was present. Victor took the time to be present. You were always on the receiving end of his love just by spending a moment with him. His love for the Word of God was evidenced by the way he shared it with everyone, always in truth, always in love. The Bible was a way of life for him. His transparency about his struggles in life and his willingness to share the wisdom earned from those struggles gave everyone he spoke to hope and encouragement. Victor knew his spiritual gift and strength was to encourage people, and he fulfilled that mission in spades. The testimony we have seen by so many that he encouraged is the proof. Victor loved his wife and his children with great devotion, and he dedicated every day to the work of praying, providing, and protecting them. His family will be blessed for generations because of his faithfulness. Victor knew the promise of God made to those who serve him, and he believed his sacrifice would not return void. Therefore, in union with Victor, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we give God all the glory and thanks for his life and the beautiful memories each of us have of the time we spent together. Nueces County mourns the life of Victor Roel Cadena, as his sister is one of our family. I thank you for allowing us the opportunity to honor him today, and also I would like to bring next court a full resolution for Coach Salinas. I'll be delivering remarks at his funeral, and yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I just want to say that we can honor him again fully when we have a full court. I'm sorry, a full court's agenda meeting.
I just want to say a couple of things about Victor and Coach Hector. I call him Coach Hector. Victor is my cousin through marriage, my wife's first cousin. And I talked about both of them yesterday in the radio because they really were great people, great men. They did a lot for everybody else. And Victor was one of those family members that was always a real happy-go-lucky guy. And if you needed help, he would help you, so you just ask him. So he's going to be missed by the family members, by our families and friends. And our condolences go out to our family members. The other, Hector Salinas, he and I play ball together. He was a pitcher and I was a catcher. And it was a semi-pro league, and Hector never forgot that, he won the semi-pro championship game as a pitcher. And I always tell him, don't forget you had a good catcher. So, we always make a joke about it. And, but Hector was something else. I mean, he always a smile on his face and, served the board, CCISD board well, served Delmar well. And even to the time where he was in a walker, they still active and serving. So I just want to thank the family here personally and my condolences and prayers to them.
Amen.
That's it.
Thank you. Hearing no other adjournments in memory of, I do deem that we are adjourned, and the time is 10:13 a.m.